So let's talk about this Atlanta Hawks versus Magic game. I want to talk about this game because honestly, the Magic have been great recently, and the Hawks have also been great. And it seems like these two teams in the East are real contenders to at least even make the playoffs, one of them, in my opinion. But let's talk about that. This game happened in Mexico City. It was a good game. And honestly, the biggest thing for me was seeing how these teams face off against each other. Recently, they've both been two of the best teams in the NBA when it comes to winning in the past few weeks. As even though they started off pretty slow, the Hawks have barely lost, and the Magic too. The Magic have faced up against great opponents and have beat teams like the Lakers. Even though they did lose to them, they did beat them also, and they've really been winning recently, or at least winning games which people did not expect them to win. In my opinion, this is because of Paulo's superstar jump. Paulo has been an amazing player for them, and it really is understated how great he's been this season. You could talk about a lot of things. You could talk about his points, his rebounds, his assists, what he does, and how he plays the game. But really, in my opinion, the biggest thing for him has just been that this season he is the superstar. He's not a second guy anymore, and the team has fully now just completely rotated around him in every aspect of their play style. Their point guard, pass first point guard, they have shooters, they have veterans, and they have all players which are basically there to complement Paulo in one way or another. They have defenders like Jonathan Isaac, of Joe Ingles as a veteran to stretch the floor. They have Anthony Black, which is a guard which they just picked up. They have Wendell Carter as their main big man. Goga Bitadze as another big man, and Franz Wagner as like the secondary star. And this Magic team has just been on a tear. You don't expect the Magic to look like this, especially against good teams. But I think really what stands out about the most about the Magic is the way that they've placed themselves in a good tier. It's obvious that they still need some years. But from right now, it looks like they're really building the culture which they want to carry throughout the next few years. We could see even a guy like Franz, which even though yes he's already played 2 seasons in the NBA, he's been phenomenal in every way when it comes to his play style, the way that he's executed himself, and the way that he's just let Paulo do his own thing. Meanwhile, he also gets his own, opportunities. I also want to talk about a guy like, Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony, which have just fit into the system and not try to fight it. Because I'm sorry, Anthony Black is the guard right now, which they're starting, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to check that, but I think that they're either starting him or he's their sixth man. And when we look at a thing like that, when you have guys like Markelle, when you have Jalen Suggs, when you have Cole Anthony, it's really interesting that that kid is getting so many minutes, and it's obviously for the purpose of developing the young guys together, making them learn to play with each other, making them be able to feed off each other, and really make a culture which is centered around these younger dudes. Cole Anthony is a younger dude. Markelle is younger, and Jalen Suggs is also younger, but they want to go and they want to build around the players which they know have the most potential. Another thing that we can look at in this game for the Magic, in my opinion, was how well they kept the score. Even though there is some times which I did see them rough defensively, I do want to say that I like their scoring ability. They're a team which can pop off for any amount of points, and I realize that they really play at their team's pace. They can always make a comeback, and they really score a good amount of points for a team which I thought was very limited offensively on paper. But apart from that, the Magic, in my opinion, have been great. I would just say that from now on, you have your offensive guys. If Anthony Black pans out, you have your offensive guys. Now it's time to focus on the defensive end and who you really want on that end of the floor making plays and really being your main stoppers, because Jonathan Isaac is great, but come on, they need better wing defenders, and that's just facts. Now to talk about the Hawks were phenomenal. The Hawks were great. They've scored a lot, and they've been on a tear recently, and they've been on a tear because of Trae and DeJounte figuring it out. Obviously, their roster changed. They traded John Collins, which was just a cancer to their team. And the Clint Capella, even though he's playing badly, has contributed enough for them to be able to play. Because like a guy like Onyeka Okongwu is there to fill up for his deficiencies. We've seen guys like DeAndre Hunter, and we've seen guys like Jalen Johnson really be contributing pieces to this team, even if they're only rookies or second year guys, which is a very important thing to see. It seems like Atlanta finally got their team around Trae Young, the team which they want coming forward and going forward. And it seems like, if we're being honest, even a guy like Sadiq Bey, being more of a veteran, has really put a positive light on what this team can be when it comes to scoring and when it comes to having a bigger veteran presence. In my opinion, the Hawks, have looked phenomenal. And now their next step is to see if they can do this consistently. I'm gonna say they only won against the Magic because of Trae Young, which had 41 points and 8 assists. A phenomenal game by Trae. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna look at any statistics because doesn't matter the efficiency. If you see him play, you knew the stuff that he was doing was crazy, right? And if we're being honest, and by the way, what I mean that his stuff was crazy is like shots from half court, behind the back passes, cutting, in the baseline, and having great transition plays, kicking the ball up the floor, really being a threat from everywhere. And especially in that fourth quarter, when they needed him the most, really, he got them the win by making that spectacular pass to DeJounte Murray in the final play, hitting huge threes from very deep to be able to put them back in a rhythm at the start of the fourth, and really just being their piece and their superstar like he's supposed to be. I'm taking Trae, and I've realized that it's been enough years in the league. I think he's in his fourth or fifth year, to the point where I get to say he's the brand new Allen Iverson, a guy who could win you a game, who's gonna clutch up for you. And Trae Young is Allen Iverson, just the modern version. A guy who's quick, can handle the ball, can shoot, can score, can play make if he wants to, is ball dominant, and really needs possessions to be effective. But if you do give him those possessions, he's clutch, he's good, he makes plays happen for you. And as long as you give him a team which complements his play style, he will get you success outside of just regular success. He's already pushed his team to the conference finals, and he's in his fourth year in the league. And in my opinion, Trae Young is just a resemblance of what a modern Allen Iverson would probably look like, with the modern day trends like the threes, like the step backs, and all the semantics that come with the modern day game and play style. Adding on to this, I believe that his team is finally well constructed. Enough shooters, enough ball handlers, enough playmakers, and I do really believe that this Atlanta Hawks team is scary, and it's very scarily good for Trae Young. But yeah, that's what I thought about the game. If you guys don't know, the game ended on a game-winning 3 by DeJounte, where Trae swung a pass to the corner. It was like the LeBron pass that he had, but much tougher. I don't know if you guys saw last season when Giannis swung that pass to, I think it was Grayson Allen in the corner against the Toronto Raptors in the regular season. But it reminded me a lot of that pass when I saw it, and it was a great pass. It won them the game, and I do really want to say that shout out to DeJounte, for clutching up and for being such a great player this season from what I've seen, and it's reflected in their win record. He also had 41 the other day, which was pretty crazy for DeJounte. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. It helps a lot. And honestly, if you saw this game, just tell me what you think. and I'll see you next video.